Ciao a tutti, it's me, Vanessa Racci, the Jazzy Italian, and you are live with me at Italians and Sicilians Do It Better podcast.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another one. Sal, how you doing today?
Birds flying high, you know how I
Sal,
feel.
Sal. We have a real singer here today. We don't.
All right, I'm sorry. My singing days are over, I guess.
Every
You're always shattering my dreams.
more like shattering my windows. But anyway, everybody, we're here today with a special singer. I want to introduce to you Vanessa Racci.
Ciao a tutti.
How you
Thanks
doing?
so much for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Long time coming. We've been like Instagramming for like a couple of years.
Juggling schedules.
I know.
She's so hard to get a date with her busy schedule, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
It is a pleasure for you to come by. We really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for all your support.
No, I got to say, from the style, the voice, the presence you bring out, you put smiles on people's faces. So
Thank you.
it's been a while that I've been watching you, and I got to say, it's the music. It's enjoyable. It's peaceful. It's not something I normally would listen to, but it's pretty nice. And what you're doing for the Italian community, too, it's like bringing that spirit back alive.
Thank you. Yeah, I try. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your background. Like, when did all this start? Like, when did you know I want to sing?
So, well, I started singing when I was 4 years old. I came out of the womb and no, my mom said the first song I started singing was The Greatest Love of All by Whitney Houston. And
That's not an easy song to
I
hit.
know, as a 4-year-old, and they were like, oh, wow, there's something here. And then they started putting me into like musical theater and voice lessons and everything. And I did professional theater at the age of 12 and started my first gigs. My first paid gigs were the age of 12.
Right.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then it just developed from there. And I grew up living with my grandfather, who's on the Pugliese side of the family. And he lived in the basement apartment, and we were kind of best friends. Like, he would keep my secrets if I snuck out of the house.
Oh,
And
that's awesome.
he would make me frittata for Italian class.
That's
and
my favorite.
frittata.
I love
Oh.
frittata. I miss my mom's.
What's the favorite? What's the ingredients that you like the most?
I mean, my mom used to make it for me. God, it's been years, but she used to just whip it up so quickly.
Yeah.
Like with eggs, potatoes, and I
Yeah.
don't know what else, tomatoes.
Pecorino
and
Romano, you have to have
Pecorino Romano,
and onions.
and it was just like,
Yes.
for me, it would take hours to try to make that. She would whip it up in a second.
Yeah.
It's like little dishes that I remember the most, that I miss the most.
Yes.
know?
Well, I still have the recipe, so I can make you some.
All right, that's awesome.
I don't often cook, but I can do that. And then we had a little ritual where we used to split pasticcioti on Sundays after Sunday dinner.
Yeah.
It's a very, very Pugliese thing of us to do. And then he used to love Yonkers Raceway, so I'd always go with him and bet on the horses. It's like his favorite. We called it his church. He would go there all the time. So every time I drive past Yonkers Raceway, I go, "R.I.P. Grandpa."
Oh, that's so nice, though.
Yeah, so he was like my buddy, and all my friends loved him. Like, this is a little off color, but like at my wedding, all my friends like love him so much that they all lap danced him.
Oh my God.
And he lived to like 102, and he was just like
God
full of
bless.
energy.
Wow.
And yeah, he was a really special person. So I was devastated when he passed, and I'd always been a singer, and he always used to come to my shows and slip me a 20 and say, "This is for my little celebrity." And I'm going to cry now. Oh, like, I was getting very emotional. But
That's awesome.
and I think when he passed, I just was yearning to keep his memory alive and some of that spirit alive. And so I decided to record all of the Italian songs that he taught me. And at the time, I was touring with a jazz trio. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to combine my two loves, jazz and Italian music,
Right.
and put them in an album. And I decided to that's when kind of the Jazzy Italian was born. But my first album was called Italiana Fresca. So it was like fresh takes on jazz, fresh takes on Italian classics. And I had presented the idea to Johnny Valenti, who owns Birdland in New York City.
Yes.
And he loved the idea. He paired me up with a producer, with Yaron Gershovsky, who's actually the musical director of Manhattan Transfer, which is a very famous jazz group. And they wrote the arrangements, and it was my beautiful first album.
Wow.
And that kind of started me on this unique niche.
So you took a passion of spending great personal time with your grandfather. So you took the personal part of you and you put it together with entertainment and created, the music you do today.
Yeah.
The Italian American and American jazz.
Yep.
That's beautiful.
That's actually a beautiful story. I actually got chills while you were saying it.
Oh, thanks.
Because I'm, both my grandparents being in Sicily, I missed them a lot. And, so and I was very close, especially to my mom's side.
Yeah.
But one thing that I've noticed from you, I don't know if you get this a lot, but I feel like maybe you were born in the wrong era.
Yeah. Yes.
You
People tell me that a lot.
Like, you bring that like old school look, 50s, 60s, and so like classy, like very classy. No, but it just is. It's really kind of hard to find nowadays. But it just, I feel like, do you get that a lot, that you were born in the wrong era?
Yeah, and I actually got hired to be in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Oh, really?
Because I look like that. And I was in The Irishman in a scene from the 50s.
Oh my God!
I've watched that 100 times. Where?
Really?
Yeah, it's in the scene where they're in Philly. Is it?
Okay.
I have to find the exact clip and send it to you. And I'm in like a steakhouse in the 50s, and I'm supposed to be like a mob wife, and I'm just sitting there like looking like this, like eating steak.
So I watched The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Yeah.
So you were in that also?
I was in it also. I did background work. I'm not like, I don't have a line or anything.
Right.
That's why you probably missed me, but I was there.
But that's the type of era that I'm talking about. Exactly that show.
Yeah.
So it's funny. Okay.
So growing up at 4 years old, starting to sing.
Yeah.
And as you grown up to a young lady, did any of your friends make fun of you, the type of music you like compared to like today's genre?
Oh my God, yes. I was made fun of mercilessly in school. I was bullied for a lot of reasons. Like one, I was a late bloomer. I had like a unibrow and a mustache. And the boys used to be like, I don't date girls with mustaches. Like, yeah, that was, I'll leave his last name out, but my crush, Salvatore, he made fun of my mustache and I was devastated.
Those Sal's,
I know.
all the time.
It's always a Sal.
Yeah, what the hell? And then I used to skip down the hallway singing show tunes. And as you can imagine, it wasn't very popular. But I got all the leads in the plays.
There you go.
So in 2012 was when your first album dropped?
2017 was the very first one. But I had been singing since I was 4. But that's when I first decided to like actually record something. And then when I was touring around the country with that album, I was so excited by the response. I performed at the NEAF Gala in New Orleans, in California, Chicago, Florida, all over. And when I was touring the music, I performed in New Orleans. And that's when I learned about the rich history that Italian Americans have with jazz, because I went to the Jazz Museum and the Italian American. Yeah. And I never realized that the very first recorded jazz song in history was recorded by a Sicilian American, Nick LaRocca. And he inspired people like Louis Prima, who inspired Henry Mancini, who inspired Harry Warren, and led to this long lineage of Italians in jazz. And it kind of gave me the answer of like, I was always wondering why the Italian guys owned the jazz clubs in Manhattan. And I think this is why, right? Like Charles Piazza, Johnny Valenti. And I'm like, why are there so many Italians in jazz? And I think that's why.
But there was something else, right? You were top 65 in the charts.
Oh, yes. Yeah. My first album. Thank you for doing your research, by the way. I was number 65 on the jazz charts. And then my second album became number 8. So I moved up quickly, which is great. But it was 5 years between those albums. So.
Still to get to that level.
Yeah.
Like, what was that feeling?
I cried. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I did one of these.
It's amazing how everything has evolved. Like, for example, we had sitting on that couch. I don't know if you know Judy Torres. She's a freestyle singer.
Yeah.
She was on a podcast with us. And back then she said how hard it was to get her music out there. Like she would have to perform in bars and all these shady places just to get her face out there.
Right.
Now, I feel like social media evolved a lot more after COVID. I feel like that's when everybody bloomed and just became a creator and an influencer. True. And how much has social media helped you throughout this whole process?
Tremendously. Absolutely. Yeah. I didn't honestly start doing it social media seriously, until I quit my day job, and we could talk a little bit more about that. But after I recorded my second album, well, let me go back up a little bit. So when I was in New Orleans, I learned about Italians and jazz, and that inspired my second album, Jazzy Italian, highlighting all of the Italian Americans who contributed to jazz in America. And then I started touring with that a lot, and I still had an executive position at PepsiCo. I was like,
oh wow,
and I had like a team of people I was running, and I think that also contributes to the fact that I'm so poised, and because I had to act a certain way to get to the top there, and I was touring on the weekends, rehearsing with the band at night. I worked at Pepsi from like 9 to 8 most days, and then went home, worked on my music. My husband never saw me, and he's like, I think I got bronchitis 4 times in 2019, and then he finally complained in 2020. He was like, listen, like, I'm not seeing you enough. I need more of your time,
right?
And you need to make a change. And I was doing well enough in my singing career that I said, I think I'm going to leave PepsiCo, and I did.
Good
and I left. And that's when I started doing social media more seriously, because I had more time, but I couldn't before that.
Exactly.
So
you have an amazing talent and an amazing voice. So, you left your job for a good reason, because you have, there's some people that shouldn't leave their jobs to do social media, but you definitely.
Although my parents still were upset and thought I was crazy. The Italian American parents.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they don't understand. Like, they want you to have a real job or a serious job, but they don't realize there's nothing's really stable or guaranteed these days.
Right, exactly.
But I mean, I always tell people this because of the shock value, but I was making $200,000 a year and I decided to leave. So that's how much I love my music.
Well, it was definitely a scary move, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
what do you do? But it's working out. But do your parents believe you now?
Yes. I'm like, I've got 50 bookings a year.
That's amazing.
I'm like, it's going to be okay. Don't worry.
You have some house spots, do you, or no?
I have what?
Some house spots that you sing at all the time, or no?
Well, I don't like to sing at the same places all the time.
Okay.
Like, for example, I'm probably at Birdland once or twice a year, at Winnie's Jazz Bar, maybe like 4 times a year. But I don't like to perform at one place too often because it saturates that market.
I get it.
And then especially in the jazz world, like if you do clubs like Chelsea Table and Stage or Birdland or Blue Note, like you have to bring the crowd in. And so that's why I prefer to travel, so that I can get new audiences wherever I go. And it's always like a fresh show that people are seeing,
Do you get booked for a lot of weddings? Because I could see you doing
thank you.
weddings.
Not too much like the reception, obviously, because people want to DJ, they want to dance, but I do cocktail hours.
Well, that's what I could see you doing more cocktail hour.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I always, because I am a thespian and a weird theater chick, I have like a vintage wardrobe from like the 20s through the 60s. And so I just love it. Like, people will hire me. I come out like decked in like Prohibition jazz, and I'll like do the cocktail hour and stuff. I love it.
So it's touring all over the country. Mm-hmm. Where has it been? I'm going to get to New Orleans, like one of your best areas performed.
I love California because a lot of people there really appreciate jazz music. And then New Orleans, I've always feel like I'm famous down there because it's the perfect intersection of jazz and Italians. And when I go out there and I sing like Buonasera, everybody's like, they don't do that here.
Exactly.
So but it's great.
So you're from Westchester.
Yes.
That's correct.
Yep.
You don't come off as a New York person at all. Do you get that a lot?
I do.
Okay.
Because it's the theater person in me, because my mom's from Mount Vernon, my dad's from Yonkers.
Okay.
And my dad talks like that, take out the garbage, I'm going to get 3 eggs and you're going to, and I, when I was little, I spoke like that.
Okay.
Like, you could see videos of me. I'm like, Dad, I want a hot dog,
Yeah.
And then I went, and then I used to speak like that. And then as I went through theater, I trained myself out of it, because I was like, oh, this is not sophisticated. And I like trained myself out of it. Yeah.
You could definitely pull off Marissa Tomei, though. I could see that.
Oh, thank you.
With that accent that you said.
Are you one of those people, like, when you get mad, the old voice comes back? Or you
a little bit. Yeah. It's been so long since I spoke like that it's I feel like it's pretty much gone, but sometimes it comes out. Definitely my passion comes out.
Who's somebody that you look up to that you would love to meet today? Gaga. Lady Gaga.
Really?
She's so my idol. I mean, now she's bringing jazz back, right? With what she's doing in Vegas.
Right.
Like, I want to do that. I know I'm not as famous as her, but I really appreciate what she's doing, like keeping all those old songs alive, and how she respected Tony Bennett so much. And it was really a special relationship.
She's always been huge with that, with the old school Tony Bennett.
Yeah.
Sinatra. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I always respected about Lady Gaga, how she knows her roots and where she came from. And yeah, absolutely. And
I used to love Gwen Stefani too. And I literally, this is again why I was bullied so much. I would wear a bindi to school every day because she used to do that in her first No Doubt album. Remember, like, I'm just a girl. Yeah. Like, she would have the little bindi and everything.
What do you think about the music of today, though?
The music of today, that's such... I don't even know how to describe the music of today because it's like collected from all different decades. Right. So I think I love many artists, and many artists I don't love, but I still like music of today. I love Billie Eilish. I love John Legend. I love Bublé. I love Adele. I love Celine Dion. I love Beyonce. I love Alicia Keys, who's half Italian, FYI. Would want to meet her too. So I actually won a lot of singing contests singing Alicia Keys songs.
Did you really? I love Michael Bublé also. You mentioned him. I went to go see him twice.
Yeah.
I saw him at Madison Square Garden once. And I forget the second place, but he's amazing.
Yeah.
And he's so funny. I don't know if you ever seen him perform.
No, I've never seen him live.
He's hysterical.
He works the crowd.
He works the crowd, and it's like turns into a half comedy show, and then he starts singing.
I love it.
He's great. He's great.
That's amazing. But I'm a very like soulful girl too. It's like I used to love 90s hip hop. I mean, you could tell my my age by me saying that. But I grew up on that stuff, and so I really like to sing like blues and R&B as well.
Okay.
So yeah.
The reason why we asked that is because one of the eras Sal and I like the 90s and the early 2000s. Because when you listen to the music, it was almost like a storytelling.
Yeah.
Today, it's no longer storytelling. It
depends on the artist.
It does.
Yeah.
But there's not many artists as there was back then.
Right.
It's very like minimum today.
Right.
Like you mentioned too, like John Legend, absolutely. Michael Bublé.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But
even
it's just...
like I'm not a country fan, but I have to give props to Taylor Swift because she's a storyteller.
Yeah.
Right? Like her lyrics are poetry. So I teach
it's
voice.
All of her ex-boyfriends, but she's telling a story.
Right, that's true. That's true. No, but her lyrics are really poetry, and I didn't honestly get turned on to her until because I teach voice with a lot of high school girls. They all want to sing Taylor Swift, and so I'm like, ugh. But then I was forced to learn the song, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty good, you know?
Yeah. Listen, Frank and I have 2 9-year-old girls that go to school together, and they're both in the Glee Club.
Yeah.
My daughter wants to become a singer so bad.
Yeah.
She just needs to let out her. She's shy.
Sure.
She sings like very loud when she's alone in the car with me.
I love it. So cute.
And it's just like, if she gets that confidence up, I think she'll, she could reach a point. But I know you say you teach singing also.
I do, yes.
So I've always wondered, if this is a silly question, I'm sorry, but can you teach someone to be a better singer? Because in my opinion, aren't you born with a natural, amazing voice? Or can you work up to that?
Yeah. So a lot of people, it's kind of like in sports. That's a really perfect analogy because you can be born with natural talent, but you still have to train to like pitch a certain way or whatever to gain strength to do certain things, right? It's the same thing with singing. Like you can be born with a natural, beautiful tone, but you might not be able to hit the high notes until you're trained appropriately, or you might not be able to belt in a way that doesn't strain your voice until you're trained properly. So, yeah. So I was born with natural talent, but I still trained, because you have to. You can't sing. I just performed at Winnie's Jazz Bar on Saturday in the Refinery Hotel, and I sang for 3 hours. And you can't sing for 3 hours unless you build that stamina.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the trick is a lot of tea and a lot of honey.
A lot of tea, a lot of honey, a lot of abdominals.
Really?
Like your power comes from here. Like a lot of singers sing and they stretch and they do this and that. I always say that to my students, especially like the young new singers. They're always pushing. I was like, your neck does not change the pitch. Your neck is not giving you that power. If anything, it's working against you and it's straining. I was like, you have to keep your neck still and get all the power from down here. And so that's a lot of what I work with people on.
Have you ever tried to get on to like The Voice or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
I auditioned for American Idol and The Voice many times, and I almost made it through to American Idol. I did it the year after Kelly Clarkson.
Oh, wow. That was the first year Kelly Clarkson was in. Yeah.
And I auditioned at the Javits Center. There was 30,000 people there, and I got down to the round where they only have 500.
Okay.
And so I saw Simon Fuller, Nigel Lithgow. Those were the executive producers before you see like the original Simon, Paul, or Randy. And they were like, you have a beautiful voice, darling, but we're not going to take you. Thank you. And I think it was because I just don't have an interesting story. Like, I didn't work on a farm or, have 5 children or I don't know.
I'm kind of surprised. They probably said she's going to win it. Don't choose her. But, but
yeah, you never know.
I think they thought like, I didn't like at the time I wasn't savvy enough to come up with a cool story. I just put on my form like, I'm from Westchester, New York, and they're probably like, oh, that's boring, rich girl from Westchester, but like I'm not,
Yeah, no, I get it though. I feel like everyone has a story that's on that show. So look at for example, my daughter's favorite singer is James Arthur. She loves James Arthur, and when he was on one of was X Factor. He was on X Factor and he had a story. His story was that he had a horrible childhood. His parents were divorced. And the first time his parents actually got in the same room together was to watch him on X Factor. And he ended up winning X Factor.
That is a cool story.
Yeah, James Arthur is an amazing singer. He's one of my favorites. So I got my daughter hooked on it. I'm actually, she doesn't watch this. I'm getting her tickets. He's going to perform in Central Park in May. So I'm getting her tickets for Christmas. I can't wait to take her. Yeah, she's my daughter for a 9-year-old sings a lot of the old school stuff.
I love that.
Like, James Arthur, Michael Bublé. She does love her Taylor Swift.
This is so
she
cute.
does love her Taylor Swift, but because I make her listen to a lot of old stuff. In the car.
Yeah.
So
a lot of people have a saying that singing is like a medicine for them too.
It is
soothing and
oh my God. No, it actually is like scientifically, because you know how like if you're trying to calm down, people tell you to take long exhales, like, and that's what singing is, right? You're singing, you're slowly exhaling. And so it actually has physical benefits. It calms you down.
Right.
So, but I tell my students, it's really because of me that you feel better. But
So how often do you teach? Do you have
I have like 3 students a day.
Oh, really?
So,
okay.
Yeah, it's like my supplement, my side hustle in addition to my performing. So
how often do you perform during the week?
I usually perform like once a week.
Okay.
Yeah, and I do like big festivals, or I either do festivals, theaters, clubs, or jazz bars. Yeah.
Well, we saw you at the Columbus Day Parade.
Oh yeah. That was funny. They crowded so many people on my float, and I'm so short that I felt like you couldn't see me when the cameras came. I was like, I'm here, I'm singing, But I was there. I'm glad you saw me.
What is your goal? Your end goal? Well, not your end goal. I don't like to use end goal.
To die. No, I'm kidding.
Like, where do you want to see yourself in 5 years from now?
Ooh. So I want to continue touring my music, record a second album. I'm at like 10,000 on social media, so I'd like to be at 50. That would be great. It's just we'll have to exchange like pointers because it's so painstakingly slow. And then I think I'm going to start trying Broadway because so many people have told me I have like the good look and sound for it. So and I can dress in costume.
Definitely see you in Broadway. Absolutely.
How was that transition, like from singing and then you started a mini Broadway? Now you're kind of doing an acting and singing. Like, was that different for you when you started? Did you?
No, I mean, my roots are in theater, so it was like natural. I wrote the libretto, which is like the dialogue, after reading Connie Francis's autobiography and Bobby Darin's. And I sang a lot of Connie music anyway, so it was kind of natural. And the director of the Italian American Museum on Mulberry Street, Dr. Shelsa, paired me with Charlie Romo from Staten Island because he knew I did Connie Francis. He knew he did Bobby Darin, and he's like, you should sing because they had a romance. And then we researched it and we're like, oh my God, this is an amazing story. This could be on Broadway. Somebody's putting it on Broadway, but not me. But it was a good idea. At least it validates that it was a good idea. Because a lot of people were saying to me, no one knows who those people are anymore. Tickets are not going to sell, but it's going to Broadway.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I auditioned for Connie Francis, but I'm not going to get it because they have like famous. They have, it takes $1 million to get a show, millions of dollars to get a show to Broadway. Lots of investors, and so they want a guarantee that it's going to be successful. Therefore, they put famous people on Broadway. So, like the Bobby Darin's not an Italian American; it's Jonathan Groff. He's very famous. So I'm sure that Connie Francis is going to be famous, but I'll be really upset if she's not Italian American. Right? I'll be really pissed.
I get it. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm like, you can't play Concetta Rosa Maria Franco Nero and not be Italian.
Exactly.
Oh
man. As I said before, like I feel like you were born in the wrong era. Like you brought us a record.
Yes. Okay? You're like, what is this contraption?
Record, which is amazing. What is your favorite way to listen to your own music?
Ooh. I mean, this is going to be so counterintuitive to what you just said that I'm an old soul, but Spotify.
Yeah, I get it.
That's so my favorite way to listen to music. But I do like vinyl, but Spotify is my way to listen to music. I put playlists together. It's just easier.
Just throw it on in the car. It's so much easier. I get it. They make things too easy nowadays. It's like no more effort.
But I'm on Spotify, so everybody follow. Vanessa Racci, both my albums are on there.
I have a fun question for you.
Yes.
I like to ask this to a lot of people because you get funny or bizarre answers.
Oh, okay.
Doing all the singing and staging in front of audience, give us one great memory of your greatest moment and one of your worstest moment.
Oh, I may have to change names to protect the innocent. No kidding.
Feel free.
I know. So I opened for Sal Valentinetti a couple of times. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah.
And I think one of my proudest moments was when I opened for him at the Paramount, and it was like packed with like 400 people. And I was so nervous because I was there to open for him. They were there to see him, but they didn't know me. Right. And I walked out and I sang like my jazz songs. I sang Connie Francis songs, and I got like the biggest applause I've ever received. And it was probably one of my best performances ever. And that was a very special moment just to see like 400 people like screaming and yelling for me. That was pretty cool. Also, I sang at Citi Field. I sang God Bless America.
Did you really? That's
great. How did that feel?
Terrifying.
From 400 to thousands.
It was like 30,000 people in the stadium. And, but you know what's funny? That wasn't as terrifying as the Paramount, because there's so many people that it's just a blur. You don't see like individual faces. Right. Where in a theater, you see people like
up close and personal,
staring at you, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah, no, I get that.
So, but it was very cool. It was very cool.
That face. If somebody stared at me like that, I would have stopped laughing.
Exactly. Yeah, and then the worst moment. Let me see.
This is the good ones.
While you think about that, I have to say, okay, you opened up for Sal.
Yes.
Sal's a good friend of ours, but he could have easily opened up for you also.
Oh, that's so sweet.
No knock on you, Sal. I love you. You got the golden buzzer. You're amazing. You're an amazing singer. But I feel like I've seen you sing. I've seen Sal sing. I feel like you're both equally very talented.
Thank you.
And I hope that's not a disrespect on anyone. No. I just really feel that.
I mean, that's why like I'm so honored that he doesn't ask many people to like sing to open for him or sing with him, but he's asked me to do duets with him. So
you guys have the same style.
So like I want to work on a project with him in the future. I'm trying to get him interested, but I want to revive the Louis Prima Keeley Smith Vegas show, and I feel like he's a good person to do it with. But anyway, but I know he's busy with stuff, but I think, but he would be perfect. But yeah, he's also complimented me so much, and his family is so sweet. And his mom said that she played my music for her mother, and when her mother was passing away in the hospital, she played my album.
Oh my God!
I was like, it doesn't get more special than that.
I remember when Sal won the Golden Buzzer, I was a wreck. I'm already an emotional person as it is. I'm like, oh my God.
I know. Because it's like we all identify with him as Italian Americans. You're like, you did it for us,
Right, exactly.
But I think what made it even more was he was from the neighborhood. So it was like, yes,
Yeah, he's awesome. He's great.
I wish I could sing, but it just doesn't come out. I got the air. I don't got this part.
Yeah. You could if you worked on it. I'm still trying to think of I know there have been worse experiences, bad experiences, but I think I blocked them out of my mind.
Yeah, I don't blame you. We all do.
I want to think of one though, because I think it'll be good, whatever it is. Give me 1 second.
Like we asked this to comedians also, like what's your best moment on stage? What's your worst moment on stage? So
yeah. I'm trying to think. Oh, well, so it was like before. It wasn't on a big stage, thank God. It was like more when I was getting started, like when I was singing in a restaurant. Like I don't really do restaurant gigs anymore. And I learned the hard way that you shouldn't eat on your break in between sets. Because I had really bad diarrhea, like in the middle of a song.
Oh my God.
And I was like, I was singing like, hello. And I was like, oh my God. And I said to the pianist, I was like, keep playing. He's like, what, where are you going? I'm like, just keep playing. And I just ran. And like,
oh my God.
And like, it was terrifying.
That is.
It was so terrifying.
Oh my God, listen, you're speaking to Frank knows me. I'm lactose intolerant.
Yeah.
Like you can't make me anything with cheese. And it's like, you want coffee? Do you have skim milk? No. Do you have lactate milk? I can't have coffee, and so I'm sorry.
So now I never eat before or during a show, ever.
Scarred you.
Ever. Well, it's like you're not supposed to anyway. Like I learned from professionals, like because you get gassy, it fills up your stomach, so you can't control your diaphragm as much when you're singing. And so I'd rather be starving up there than eat.
No, I don't blame you. I get it.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry it took me so long to think of that. I think I blocked it out of my memory.
I wouldn't want to mention diarrhea though. Another question I have, because I think it'll be interesting hearing this from you. Usually we'll ask this question to comedians and people on stage, but different from what you do, because it's difficult. So stage fright.
Yes.
How do you handle that? Because it's not like you're a comedian and you could hide it and you're just talking. You're singing. That kind of that will probably control your voice.
Absolutely. I get really bad stage fright. And especially when I know people are judging me, like if I'm at an audition, I'm like, I like shake. You can hear it in my voice.
How do you stay steady?
I take a pill. No, I do. And like, because I couldn't control it. Like my coaches were saying, deep breathe. And you can deep breathe a lot, but like it's kind of uncontrollable. And if you have these big shows where I'm like opening for Sal or Birdland, or I'm at the NEAF Gala, or I'm at the Ronald Reagan International Trade Center in Washington, D.C. after Dean Martin, like sometimes you just can't control your nerves. And so I take a beta blocker and get good to go.
You've definitely performed in Staten Island in that restaurant. Why do I forget the name?
Oh, Casa Belvedere? Yes, I'm there all the time. Well, not all the time, but like twice a year. Yeah,
that's a great Italian. Like you have to have like a membership in order to eat in that place.
I love that place.
Yeah, I've been to that place.
It's gorgeous.
It really is.
It makes you feel like you're in Italy.
Exactly, and it's like on the hill, and it's like you see the view of like Staten Island.
Oh wow,
it's really beautiful. But and you have to have a membership.
Owned and operated and built from scratch by a Staten Island female, Gina Biancardi. Mm-hmm. So I really have a lot of respect for her. It's
a really beautiful place. Yeah. And the food is amazing. So
yeah.
So I know, Sal, actually, where do you see yourself in 5 years? But my question is, what is next? What are we expecting you to come out with next?
Well, I am working on a second album, and I'm honestly torn between like a couple of ideas. Like I do this Prohibition jazz show, which is like the music of Prohibition, like the songs that defined the era. And it is a different crowd than my Italian stuff, but I feel like I'm ready to record something for, not just Italian Americans. And even though, anybody can listen to it, but it's a little bit more niche. And so I'm ready to just do more jazz proper and show my chops there. Cause like I'm a pretty good scatter. I'm a really good jazz singer, and I want to be, seen as a respected jazz artist. Even though my album made number 8 on the jazz charts, I'm on a jazz label. I got signed with a jazz label. I book jazz festivals around the country. Some people look at that and they're like, it's not jazz. And I'm like, yes, it is. They're like, because it's Italian songs. I'm like, it's jazz. It's just like lesser known, like Italian Americans who wrote these songs. But so I want to try and do more jazz proper as well.
And that's around the time where you made it on Sirius XM.
Yes, yeah, thank you. I forgot. Yes, I'm on Sirius XM. Yeah.
And the Italian, a lot of Italian shows. But
yeah, on Seriously Sinatra. Yeah.
What was that feeling, hearing yourself on the radio now?
It was so freaking cool. And I honestly didn't hear myself first. It was like friends and family would just send me screenshots or like videos. And they're like, oh my God, I just heard you. I'm like, what? Oh my God. It was so exciting.
That's amazing.
And they pay really well too. So I get good royalties from it. So like I still get royalties when my music is played on the radio. So
has your music made it overseas yet? Do you see that?
Yeah, it's overseas. Yeah, Japan. A lot of because Japanese people love jazz, and so a lot of people listen. Even though it's Italian American jazz, they still listen to it.
Would you go to perform?
Absolutely. Yeah, if I got hired, I would go. Japanese treat jazz singers like they're royalty. Royalty.
I've heard that.
And you could hear a pin drop. Everybody's super attentive and really respects the music. So yeah, I definitely want to go to Japan.
Have you ever pursued like acting?
Yeah, I actually took acting classes with Thomas G. Waits.
Okay.
And
Tom Waits was in Oz, correct?
Yeah.
Redheaded guy?
Yes.
I used to be his doorman on the Upper East Side.
Shut up.
Tell him
what a
Sal,
small world.
the doorman from East 95th Street and 2nd Avenue.
I will.
All
my
right?
God, that's so funny.
He will like be in shock because he was such a nice guy. And at the time when this is like back in 1999 now, 98. And he was doing the show Oz at that time.
Yeah.
So he was pretty big.
Yeah.
But he was like the most humble person. It's one thing I remember about him.
Yeah.
So humble.
He's very
always
humble.
said hello.
Yeah.
You know, to us, the doorman staff. I was in the concierge at the time. And I just remember him. And he was also in the movie back from the 80s. Oh my God. Warriors.
Yeah, the Warriors. Yeah,
Warriors.
It's like a cult classic.
So that's where he started from, the Warriors. But that Kim
he
Lee
still
just
goes.
mentioned
He goes
his
to
name.
Comic-Cons like around the country and like
Oh my God! Please tell him Sal, your doorman from the Upper East Side.
I will. I'll text him right now if we're done. But so I was recommended to him by Catherine Narducci because I actually met her in the pandemic because she commented on my social about like she loved my voice and I did the Italian music. And then I bought one of her paintings of Judy Garland, and then she actually was so bored in the pandemic, she delivered it to my house. I was like, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, Catherine Narducci's driving to my house right now. I was like, what? And I told her I wanted to get more into acting, and she recommended me to Tom Waits. And you know, I really do want to do more of it, but I got so busy with my singing work that I couldn't juggle both.
Right.
So, but we'll see. The balance will come when it's time.
I'm happy to see that Tom is doing something with that. I didn't know what he was. I haven't heard from him in a while.
He's producing theater productions, and he has like classes.
I wonder if he still lives there
in Manhattan. Maybe he does.
He might still live there.
But he was very interested in producing my Connie Francis Bobby Darin show that is not going to Broadway. But he was like, I'll write it. I'll take it to Broadway. But
that's great. He's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
So I know leaving your job and you pursued and stuck with singing.
Yes.
But if acting comes on the table and you had to make another choice.
Oh, I love them both so much though. I mean, I do enjoy singing more than acting. That's like my passion, my love. It's, it's my heart. I don't know how to describe it. Like when I sing, you're hearing my soul. I know that's so cheesy, but it's true. And, I am very good at acting though. Thomas said I was really good. And so I do want to pursue that too. It's so hard to be dedicated to both. Like if you really want to do it right, it's so hard for me to find the time to dedicate, but I think I might drop teaching temporarily so I have the time to pursue the acting.
Give it a shot.
So we'll see.
There's a show that I could actually see you on, but it was an old show. I forget the name. It was played in Atlantic City in the 1920s.
Oh, Boardwalk Empire.
I could see you in that show. I could see you in Boardwalk Empire.
I would have loved being on that show.
I love that show.
Yeah.
Right? Can't you just see her on that show, like singing in the background?
I can. So, but my hope is that this Bobby Darin show goes on the road, and then I can be in the touring Broadway cast.
Okay.
That's my dream. Before I get too old, so hopefully it's got to get on Broadway and get off, so I can be in it before I'm too old to play Connie Francis.
That's great.
So how do you juggle life versus this career, because you're constantly on the move?
I know.
I know, like family time you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
When there's you time, like when do you make?
Oh, What is that?
Exactly.
No, well, so I used to like work constantly and work at PepsiCo from like 9 to 8 and then do my singing work after. So now I just make sure I stop at 8. And I know that still sounds like a long day, but you know, my husband's not done with work until 8 anyway. So it kind of works out, you know?
There you go.
Well, it's
I know. So, you know, I work until then and then we have dinner together. We talk, we do acknowledgements. We say, hey, honey, you know how you made me dinner tonight? You know, I really love that. It makes me feel so loved. I love you for that. You know, we like tell each other what we appreciate every single day.
That's great.
So we don't like, you know, take each other for granted. And then we go to the couch and we watch TV like this.
sounds like us.
Veg, yeah.
Do you still keep, I mean, being raised by your grandfather at such a young age and the Italian side of him, do you still keep any of that traditions?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, of course, the 7 fish is like one of our favorites. Right. And we make sure we do that every year. And I love seafood so much. And so that's like my favorite holiday is Christmas Eve. Christmas, meh, but Christmas Eve.
Exactly. That's the same thing for us.
Christmas
Eve is what it is for us also.
Where
Absolutely. But in Thanksgiving, do you eat lasagna? Because most Italians make lasagna in Thanksgiving.
No, I don't. I actually just like order stuff. I know that's terrible, but I don't cook at all. I mean, I can't be talented at everything, right? But my husband cooks and I eat.
There you go. You guys are definitely a good team.
Yes, exactly.
You're lucky if I can boil water.
Yeah, because it's so funny. So many Italian men come up to me at shows and they're like, "You're so beautiful. If I were your age, honey," and they think I'm so traditional. And then like, "Do you cook?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Oh, forget it." I'm like, "All right, sorry. I'll sing to you." But
so in your household, and let's answer this question very carefully. Is it sauce or is it gravy?
It's sauce.
There you go.
Okay.
It's sauce. Gravy goes on the turkey. It's always been sauce. Do you agree?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely.
Right.
But,
What do you think that originated from? Someone sat here
No.
2
we
weeks
had
ago.
one gravy commenter said gravy. One.
Yeah, I don't get it. I guess because when it's thick with the meat, they're like, it's thick like gravy.
We didn't air her episode.
Maybe when you get the meat sauce, it gets so.
Well, that's what they say
know.
when you mix it with the meat.
Yeah.
It turns into gravy.
I don't agree though.
That's
meat sauce.
Right.
Still
It's meat
red.
sauce. Exactly.
Red
That's
sauce.
what we
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know where the gravy
Make
came
the
from.
red go brown, then I'll agree with
Right.
that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And my favorite. You're gonna ask me my favorite pasta because like
She read my mind.
puttanesca.
Oh, I love
wow.
puttanesca.
My wife just cooked that up not too long ago.
Oh, can I have some? No, kidding. It's my favorite. And also, I think it's calabrese, right?
Puttanesca? I
It's
don't...
a southern
Or
dish.
is it pugliese? I can't remember if it's pugliese or calabrese.
Okay.
But my grandpa used to make it all the time, and he was pugliese, so maybe it's pugliese.
Do you know the history of that dish?
The horse dish. My grandpa used to say that all the time. It's the pasta of the hua.
My favorite pasta dish till this day is pasta forno. I
What is
love
that?
pasta forno. It's the pasta it's the little circle pasta. It's made with the meat. It's almost similar to lasagna. It's made in the oven.
Oh,
It's so good.
that sounds really
Still
good.
hasn't. She makes it, but she never,
Chop.
she never saved me some.
And I love spaghetti alla vongole. I love the seafood in the pasta. It's like my favorite dishes.
I love that too.
I love sardines. And it like nice and salty. I love bacala. Like all the salty dishes I like a lot. Castelvetrano olives, my favorite.
Oh,
You're mentioning all the good stuff. I haven't heard chicken cutlets yet.
I know. I'm not like
I make my
do
kids
like
chicken cutlets,
but it's not like my favorite Italian. It's not really Italian though, right? It's more like Italian American.
It's Italian American.
Right. So I like it, but it's not
That's
like
a
my
staple.
fave. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing to make, especially for my kids.
Yeah.
I love like the fried chicken cutlets.
I
If
do
I'm
love
lazy,
that,
I'll make it in the air fryer.
Milanese.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chicken
Oh, that
Milanese.
Milanese is with the sardines.
No, isn't that the chicken cutlet with like the
The
salad.
tomato salad
Yeah,
on top.
so that-
there's
I guess
also
that's
something
where-
called pasta Milanese, which that has the
sardines.
the
I would like
sardines and
that then.
breadcrumb and stuff like that.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm like an eating monster when I go to Italy every year. I'm just like,
But you probably don't feel like
So-
crap the way you feel here.
no,
That's
I don't.
It's a difference. Yeah, it's a huge
Yeah.
difference.
All organic.
Yeah.
And I'm gluten free here, but I can eat.
Yeah,
gluten
my
in
son has
Italy.
celiac, so so we're
Yeah.
gluten free in the house also.
Yes,
So.
but can he eat gluten in Italy?
No, he can't. It's when
'cause
celiac,
he's celiac.
you can't.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, you
right.
can't eat it at all.
But I have a gluten intolerance, but
yeah.
I can tolerate stuff in Italy more than I can here.
Okay.
So, and sometimes I just don't care. I'll like deal with the pain. Like when we went to Puglia and they had all the pasticciotis out, I was like, I really miss them. And I was just like, I don't care. And I ate it. My husband's like, don't do it. I'm like, I don't care. And I was fine. Nothing, it didn't bother me.
Have you ever visited Sicily?
No, I haven't been yet. I've been to like the places of my heritage and the touristy places, but not Sicily yet. But I want to go.
Seafood, near our town, like the Palladio
like
and stuff.
food in general.
Yeah.
Street fairs of food.
Yeah.
That's all you get is all seafood.
That's one thing about Sicily. You will eat amazingly every single day.
I can't wait to go to Sicily. It's like a different country.
So it's about the beaches, the food.
Yeah.
I always feel like Sicily has been downplayed. It could be a lot more touristy, but they kind of hide it.
Yeah.
They keep it to themselves because they don't want the tourists to come in. So they have the most beautiful beaches in the world. You have San Vito lo Capo, which is, you see your reflection through the water as far down as you go. That's how clear it is.
I do want to go. I think I go to a different spot in Italy every year, and I think maybe that'll be this coming year.
You have to try the food.
There's a spot in Sicily. Actually, it's a question for you. You ever heard of the L'acqua Cauda?
L'acqua Cauda, I heard of that.
There's something in Sicily near our town. They call it hot water. In Italian, it's L'acqua Cauda. It's like between the mountains, like volcano rocks.
Ooh.
But that water that comes from the ocean is hot.
Oh, wow.
Strong smell of sulfur, but it's hot, and then you're so smooth after that.
Yeah, I bet that's good for like anti-aging.
Yeah. It's also a big tourist location.
Yeah, we'll have to have a separate conversation where you tell me where to stay. Like, because
my aunt's house. I'll give you the.
Great.
My dad retired and went back, so he's living there. He's living like a king with his pension and Social Security. So
I love it.
Relaxing. So
I want to do I think my favorite trip in Italy has been Puglia because we rented an Airbnb. And we just lived like locals in Polignano a Mare.
Okay.
And we had rented a car, and then we just went to like all the little towns like Matera or Alberobello or Lecce or Bari. And we went to a different place every day, but we were like more relaxed. It wasn't like, a tight schedule.
Right.
So if I can do Sicily like that, that's what I would like to do.
Sicily's like that.
Like pick a hub and then drive to,
That's exactly how Sicily is. You don't have to rush through anything. It's just very relaxing, and you just find your places.
I did the north this year, and I packed it too much. I did Florence, Lake Como, and the Italian Riviera, Santa Margherita.
Okay.
And it was too much. We did like 3 days in each place, and I was like, I just want to stay put.
Every town has its history.
Yeah.
So spending a day there.
Yeah.
It's wild. Coming from someone who doesn't like to travel.
Yeah. What? You don't like to travel?
I hate to fly.
Oh, yeah. I understand that. But
I've been to Italy, but we were, how old were you? 18 when we went last?
Really? But and you have family there, and you're not going all the time?
We have more family in Italy that we actually
took the boat.
Oh
They
my
went by
God!
boat.
If
Took
I
2
were
weeks.
you, I'd be taking advantage of that like crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to it because they're saying that they're studying on a new flight that's going to be 55 minutes to Rome.
Yeah, but look what happened to the
Shut
Concorde,
up.
bro. Look what happened to the Concorde. It did not last
Let a couple
long.
of other people experiment with that first
exactly.
before you jump on.
Concorde wasn't 55
A little
minutes.
piece of rock hit they said it was this small, and what happened?
Can you knock yourself out with some drugs so you don't even know you're on the plane?
Oh, you don't even know you're crashing? Just knock yourself.
Well, that's why I don't want to sound like a Donnie David here, but
I don't like to fly either, but I'll do it.
I'll take the 55-minute trip because you must be a missile.
That is.
So you wouldn't even know what happened.
Yeah.
Look, my fear of playing is falling. Obviously, I don't know how I got this fear.
Yeah.
But it's something I can't shake off. But
It's understandable. Yeah.
I just don't like. My mom lives in Florida. My family's in Florida. I barely go to Florida. Like if we go, we drive.
I know. My mom had the same fear, and so we never went to Italy when I was younger, and I didn't go until I was an adult, and I could take myself. So we drove to Florida. For vacations.
So the way I look at it now is when I fly, I don't like to fly either. But if I fly, I'm like, you know what? I'm getting on this plane. If this plane crashes and I die, today was my time to go.
But what
I know
helps
it's dark.
me?
but
No.
You know what really helped me with my fear though? It's looking at the statistics, right? Like you're more likely to die in a car crash than you are in the plane.
Yeah.
I guess I have a problem. Like I have to be in control. To feel comfortable.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the whole thing that you just said now is time to go. I would say I agree with you, but if it's the pilot's time to go.
Yeah. Did they say they were testing these planes, right? That if the plane crashes, like the fuselage disengages and we fall in a parachute. If we could pull pilots to death.
I would still die.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah,
Still die.
my husband has an irrational fear of sharks, and
Really?
he won't go in the ocean. He won't go.
Not even knee high. You just
No,
won't.
he won't go.
Oh, wow.
He's like, nope, I'm good. I'll sit on the beach and look at it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, babe, you're more likely to die from a car crash. She's like, I don't care. He won't go.
Especially nowadays, there's more shark sightings, so I don't blame him. In a way.
I don't blame him because I'm like him. I'm probably the one in a million. It's probably me. I won the lotto, but I'll get bit by a shark.
The water's getting warmer. We haven't had rain. There was the other day.
true.
I'm driving along Island. There was brush fires, and I'm like, I couldn't believe I was
Right.
seeing them.
I know.
It was insane. I'm like,
And I'm not like too cool with the ocean either, because there's a lot of stuff that can harm you. And I remember I was in Positano with my family, and I finally was like, all right, I'm going to go in. I'm going to relax. And I was on my back, just relaxing, floating. I got stung by 4 jellyfish. I was like,
not even one.
And I like I ran out. I went to
jumped by
the
jellyfishes.
pharmacia, and I was like, help me. I was like blowing up everywhere.
Does somebody have to pee on you? Was that the thing?
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
That is a myth, but my husband wanted to try it just for fun. So we went. He's like, this is my opportunity to pee on you. I want to see if it works. I'm like, all right, have at it.
Oh my god! Did it work?
No, you needed like topical cream, like a Benadryl.
So what is it? I've never been stung by jellyfish.
Oh, it gets like really hot, and you break out in blisters, and it's like itchy and painful, and
It almost like burns you. That's what it does.
yeah. It's like it feels when you get stung, it feels like somebody hit you with a rubber band, like snapped you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like snap, and I'm like, ah.
So Vanessa, before we
Yes.
go, I know the holidays are coming up.
Yes.
The year is short.
Yes.
I know you have some things happening.
Some things are
between
happening.
now and then.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, so I've got only 2 shows left before the year ends. One is at Birdland Jazz Club, New York City, which is owned by an Italian American, by the way. So you have to support your paisans, Gianni Valenti. And we are paying homage to a very prominent Italian American composer, Harry Warren. And people don't know he was Italian. He was born Salvatore Antonio Guaragna in Brooklyn, New York, but changed his name at a time when, all Italians were changing their name, like Connie Francis, Dean Martin, because it wasn't cool to be Italian at the time. And he was as prolific as George Gershwin and Irving Berlin, wrote over 800 songs in our Great American Songbook, such as At Last, I Only Have Eyes for You, September in the Rain, Jeepers Creepers, Chattanooga Choo Choo, Lullaby of Broadway. The list goes on. And we're going to celebrate all of those and perform all of those songs live and show clips of his songs in the movies. And it's going to be a really wonderful evening. So come on along and listen to our Harry Warren show.
That's so awesome. But
So and I have a Christmas show coming up, but in Westchester, so it won't be as convenient for New Yorkers, but I've got
all over the world are listening to us.
oh all right.
I feel like after COVID, people will drive anywhere. So
Good.
So we're.
But I'm doing a very jazzy Christmas show at Jazz on Main, Mount Kisco. It's a really cute little swanky jazz club in Mount Kisco, New York, and you feel like you're in like the Lower East Side in Mount Kisco, and I do the jazziest Christmas songs from Ella to Bing Crosby and everywhere in
It's kind
between.
of different. Like I'm thinking now. Hopefully one day I will have someone in my life again that I could go on a date and take them to a jazz club.
Yes.
I never even thought about that.
To be honest, like I know a lot of people think jazz is dead, but there's a resurgence of jazz in Manhattan.
Absolutely.
In all of the fancy hotels, like the Aman, the Pierre, they all have jazz clubs now. There are so many speakeasies. Michael Imperioli from The Sopranos opened a jazz club. It's like my business is booming because there's so many jazz clubs now.
So I'm gonna reach out to you when I want to go to a jazz club and tell me the best one in like Brooklyn or Staten Island. I don't think that's down.
And do you know like Angie Pontani from Brooklyn?
Sounds familiar.
Her and her husband Brian Newman. He plays the trumpet for Lady Gaga.
Okay.
And in her shows in Vegas, and they started a new thing. I think I forgot the name of the club. I think Midnight Manhattan is the name of the club. I have to get there when I'm not gigging, but where she does burlesque while they sing jazz. It's like a whole scene of like burlesque and jazz and taking you back to the 20s. I think because we're in the 2020s, like it's like throwback to, do the speakeasy thing in the 1920s. So
fellas, listen, follow Vanessa. Take your girl to a jazz club.
That's right.
It's very classy.
You're going to get lucky that night.
Yeah, you will get lucky that night. And I'm going to do the same.
Yeah.
I'll go by myself, honestly. I'll go with Frank.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to bed with him. But anybody, I wanted to just thank Vanessa again for coming.
Of course.
I want to let everybody know Spotify, check her out.
Instagram.
Follow her on Instagram. A lot of stuff to come from my side, so you could follow her from there. I love this.
Thank you. I told them, make me look like Sophia Loren in the 1960s.
I'm going to get a record player. I'm buying one. Anza, can you put another order for like a blue one? All right, thanks.
You don't like the pink?
But thank you.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate your support.
Thank you so much. It was awesome.
You guys are great.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks, Enza.